Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, college football fans, heck, sports fans across the nation and around the world. This is Tim May with the Tim May Show featuring, wait a minute, you're not Clay Hall.
I am not.
Who are you, young man?
Joshua Perry in the house.
Joshua Perry, featuring Joshua Perry. I know Clay will both appreciate and take a little umbrage from that intro I just did. But you know how Clay is. Touchy. Clay's touchy.
He's one of the good ones.
Yeah, Clay is one of the good ones. He's one of the really good ones. I told him we didn't really need him here. We got a little bit of a presence of him when he and I stood and talked to Paris Johnson Jr. One of the great foibles in recording something is leaving your phone ringer on. But we recorded Paris Johnson Jr., a little interview we did with him after practice the other day when he was in town visiting. By the way, his girlfriend, I don't think he's married yet, right? But anyway, Riley Martell.
Yeah.
You know her. Yeah,
sister.
Tate's sister.
Yeah.
She was with him and stuff. And but anyway, we had a nice little interview with him just about a lot of things, but you know what he saw out there at the practice and offensive line wise and things like that. But just being an NFL player, you were an NFL player, you know what all that means. But we're going to get to that in a minute. I'm also going to play kind of an extended media session we had with Carson Hinzman, Ohio State's returning starting center. The guy that came to their rescue in 2024, and then because of the injuries that happened on that offensive line and that national championship run, and then last year started all year, and we all know he had a little bit of a checkered past in terms of sort of disappeared for a season because of some kind of disciplinary thing. It was never made clear to us,
right,
et cetera. But it's always great to talk to Carson Hinzman. His dad's one of my favorite people too, man. Former dairy farmer. Can you imagine being a dairy farmer?
No.
You know what being a dairy farmer means? Every day is Groundhog Day. Or every day is connect the suckers to the teats day.
Hard work.
I think twice a day.
Hard work.
Tim May would be over that in about a month. But unless I got paid really good money, but meaning you got to find somebody really reputable before you even go into town and go to a movie, much less take an extended, all expense paid, all inclusive vacation. Like I know you and I know your parents like to take.
Well,
where they might run into Jeff Snook.
Well, a little vacationing here and there.
A little vacation now and then is relished by the best of men. I think that's exactly what you meant to say. But I think it'd be interesting. I was going to have sound from Ryan Day's press conference on Thursday. Just a couple of things, especially him talking about the dinosaurs. That was, I don't know if you got
an interesting quote.
Yeah, an interesting quote. But of course, the moral of the story is change, adapt, change, or die.
Adapt or die.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about that a little bit, about the ever-changing world of college football, of college athletics. And, of course, you're big time involved with NBC, et cetera, covering the Big Ten and elsewhere. And I just wanted to get your take on a few things. You've been on the Tim May Show before.
Yes.
But never in these digs in the FanStream Sports
this is nice.
Ohio studio. But I appreciate you coming in, brother.
Of course. Appreciate you having me.
I know you just did 3 hours of roradio with Anthony Rothman.
More in me.
Yeah. And I see, cause that's got to be like, 3 hours in a dentist chair? How would you describe it with Rothman?
It was great.
I know.
It was like
I just like to rank on Rothman.
He's phenomenal. It was
3
hours at a theme park.
At a theme park. That's right. One ride to the next.
That's right. Trouble around every corner.
That's what gets me. And the great thing about a podcast is we don't stop until we're done. Okay. And we can ride one ride, e-ticket wise repeatedly, or ride 6 rides. I think we're going to ride a few today because I know you can talk on numerous things. That's your strength as much as anything, is along with being glib, is that you're well-rounded. You have an omniscient view of things. You don't just stare blindly.
Omniscient is a nice word.
Yeah, but you don't just stare blindly into the sun and go about your life. I mean, you're curious. Is that the right word?
I think curiosity is important. Want to learn. Lifelong learner.
Yeah. I wish I could teach when we've had multiple cats in our house a couple times, I wish I could teach them curiosity. You know why?
Curiosity killed the cat.
There you go. Or in my case, it would be cats. But I digress. We've got one left of the latest 3 we've ever had, and she's on borrowed time. I get to this. I wanted to ask you, the UFL, Ted Ginn Jr., has one game in the books as a head coach. They got beat. Now they're coming to town. Their season opener, or their home season opener, is Friday night at historic Crew Stadium.
That's right.
Yeah.
8 p.m.
Yeah. Hey, you weren't around in the group that played no, you came later. When Ohio State played a couple of spring games there, at least one spring game there.
We played a spring game down in Cincinnati.
Cincinnati, that's right.
I think it was 2013. I played a high school football game in historic Crew Stadium.
Really?
Yeah. It was Olentangy versus Olentangy Liberty. I think we got our butt whooped.
Y'all had to take it to a neutral site because the rank car in Olentangy was so
I have
fever
no,
pitch.
It was a televised game. I do know that as well. Wow. So that was my one experience there.
Yeah. But I wanted to ask you this. Number one, they're 0-1. But, I can't name 5 players on the team. I got to admit right now, but I got to ask you this before we get going. Did you give it a thought?
No.
Did you? I mean, mothballs?
No.
On your what? Mothballs on your thigh pads, mothballs on your knee pads, mothballs maybe on your jock strap, mothballs on your shoulder pads. Did you get the duster out and maybe think about it?
I gave no thought to it. Football has passed me by in terms of playing the game. I love where I'm at covering the game. Now, I think it would be a fun adventure to work with the team in some capacity.
Yeah.
Coach some linebackers or, do some operations, whatever.
Sell some tickets. I mean, that's always been a curiosity of mine.
Yeah. I mean, why not? I mean, sports are fun, and being around sports, being around athletes and coaches is a ton of fun. So if I could be involved in some sort of capacity, wherever my strengths that they could use nowadays would be, I would love that. Now, in terms of mixing it up with the guys out there, I've got nothing left in me.
Okay. And Mike Vrabel, did you see him mixing it up the other day? And
where's he at? Texas A&M or Mississippi State or something?
But he was showing some guy how to beat some kind of hands thing, and we got to see Mike Vrabel's belly because he was scrapping.
He gets like that though. That's how he runs a practice too.
But I wanted to ask you this. I mean, the UFL has come to town. The Aviators are the second highest paid football team in town. You understand where I'm going with that, right?
I do.
And probably by a huge margin with the revenue sharing for Ohio State, which about 18 or so millions going to the football team, maybe a little bit more than that with the new level this year. But I wanted to ask you this: what I have my own answer to this because I've talked to other people about this before. What drives players to keep trying to play?
It's if you're a competitive person, then you would want to continue to play. Football is not a game where I think you can be enticed or induced by money to be great. I think we all have a goal of becoming a professional, but once you get there, you want to be the best professional that you can be. Now that's trickled down into the college ranks and even the high school ranks a little bit for some of the athletes who can gain NIL that way. But the idea that, well, I got my check and now the work is finished, like, you still got to show up to practice.
Yeah.
Practice is hard. Workouts are hard. Everything about the game of football is hard. And just getting a check and thinking you're going to show up is not a way to get the job done. So I think it's about having the right mindset of competitive people who are driven by other things rather than money. I think being driven by money is not a bad thing either. And a lot of people out in the world who have done really good things because of it. They've had great ideas that they have shared with the world because of it. But man, if you're going to go out there and you're going to be knocking heads, you just have to have a burning desire to want to knock heads.
Yeah. I call it SSS, sudden stop syndrome, because on any football play, you can be in for a sudden stop, no airbags, a little bit of shoulder padding. And if, guys wore full football pants anymore, a little knee padding, but you understand what I'm saying.
For
it's
sure.
SSS, sudden stop syndrome, because a running back 99 times out of 100 gets tackled before he gets to the goal line. And linebackers are the ones doing it. And there's just, have you ever studied yourself? Have you ever done a little introspection, Joshua, on what it was about football that drove you? I mean, that drove you to compete at the highest level because of what we just talked about, just the wear and tear, and just, you're probably, after you start playing football, you're probably never 100% healthy.
No. So
I'm not even talking about starting the season. I'm talking about throughout your career.
Right.
Yeah.
I was a hyper kid So I needed places to put my energy.
All right.
And my parents introduced me to sports. I played little hoops. And then we moved here to Central Ohio. My dad was like, you should try out football. So being a big kid, I was a good athlete. It was something that I was good at. And that was my like foray into liking the game.
Yeah.
But then there was also this part of it where I've got 2 brothers, one older and one younger, and you can't fight at home. And certainly you can't fight at school.
Y'all grew up in different rules than my family grew up in. I had 3 brothers, and fights were all the time.
We fought, but we weren't supposed to.
Yeah,
but
exactly. Oh, we weren't either. Yeah,
I wasn't getting yelled at for mixing it up on a football field. Right?
Yes,
like between the whistles, you can do what you got to do.
Legal.
And then I mentioned the competitive aspect. I've always been very competitive. I hate to lose. I love to win. I'm still that way, like playing board games with my wife's little sisters, going bowling, which I'm not great at. When I golf, I get frustrated because I'm no good and I want to win. Yeah. So I could always scratch that itch. And then the other thing I really enjoyed, and it's something I miss right now, is being a part of a team. I think is special.
Yeah. And
in particular, being a part of a team sport where you have to have so many people on a roster and so many people on the field at a time, and things have to go well. There's communication, and there's sometimes arguments and confrontation and all the different things that are involved in building a strong team. I genuinely enjoyed. So yeah, just about every aspect of the game was something that I really like to participate in.
Yeah. I remember when Chris Spielman took that job with the Lions, several years ago, mm-hmm. and he just wanted to be part of an association again. Or
it's the hardest thing about leaving the game.
Yeah, but also that's judged by winning and losing.
Yes.
I mean, he wanted to be part of that. It was part of him first.
You can float in the world outside of football. And it's one of the reasons I love being in media is everything you do is on tape and it's public and it's exposed, and you have good shows and you have bad shows and people can heckle you online. And in so much of the world, you can just like skate by. And I'm not, trying to be nasty toward accountants, but like, unless you're really screwing up somebody's taxes, like nobody's on your case. Like
right.
You're not getting exposed by anything. And there's something about the idea of the level of accountability and like the wins and the losses and being judged by that and having a standard of greatness and something to chase. But also doing it in a team environment that's really fun.
How much did you miss when you got to the NFL? Because you played with the Chargers. Where else did you go?
Colts.
In the Colts?
The Seahawks.
Did you play in a Super Bowl? I'm trying to remember. Yeah. How much did you miss not being at the elite level of football after you had been at it with Ohio State?
It was tough. It was one of the hardest lessons in sports that I had to learn. And I was on not great high school teams, and then got to Ohio State, and we were phenomenal for the 4 years that I was there.
Yeah.
And then I get into the NFL. It's the highest level of the game. And I'm on one team. I think we won 5 games 1 year, maybe something similar, 5 or 6 games when I was with the Colts. Only made it through the training camp with the Seahawks, and they were a good organization. But the idea of walking into a locker room late in the year and not even being in the hunt for the playoffs was like, you asked the question about like, how do guys – that's
motivation.
A point where dudes might check out a little bit.
Yeah.
And, guy in my spot, back end of the roster, is really no checking out because you can get cut and you might disappear forever. There were other dudes who were like, I got next year to look forward to, kind of shutting it down. That's a different environment. The things that I noticed is honesty was not the same. And it's not that people were dishonest, but they would not approach certain topics, right? Like it was that.
Give me an example. Yeah.
Like people slacking off in practice just wouldn't talk about it.
Yeah.
Right. Instead of just being honest about what's going on.
Yeah.
They just wouldn't talk about it. It's not technically dishonest, but it's not honest.
Yeah.
Right. Saw a lot of that. We saw the infighting and the backstabbing, which was new, but that's also the real world where people do that kind of stuff.
Job.
And you got to figure out how you navigate through all of that. And it was a very unique education in the context of football to see those things happening.
Yeah. So I'm circling back because I had Johnny Dixon on a couple of times on Tim May's show, and he gave was it UFL, whatever it was, a few years ago, USFL. A couple of shots.
I covered him. I was doing sidelines for Fox.
That's right.
I saw him down there at one game.
That's right. And they played all their games in Birmingham.
They did.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you lived in Birmingham for a while.
Well,
so to speak.
I would drop in,
so to speak,
to Birmingham. It was a really nice hotel we stayed at, which I I realized that Birmingham was more of a city than I wanted to give it credit for.
Oh, yeah.
And there was this restaurant that had these short ribs that were phenomenal.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's usually some kind of paradise in any kind of hole.
Oh, yeah.
If you follow my drift. I was born in Demopolis, Alabama, which is about 100 miles southwest of Birmingham and about 55, 60 miles south of Tuscaloosa.
Okay.
My dad, all my mom and dad's family all grew up in the Birmingham, Tuscaloosa little area there and stuff. My dad graduated from Alabama and stuff, but we went to Birmingham quite a bit. The Vulcan, on top of the mountain. You probably didn't even see that, but Legion Field.
Sure.
Legion Field was pretty much, the Vatican City,
right,
for Southern football for a while. They called it the football capital of the world.
Yeah.
If you saw that, and but my point was, it was interesting to see the USFL HQ'd there, and especially in the summertime.
Well, you know what that is. So
that's called, I think it's called torture in some.
It was torture
in some societies.
I sweated through 2 polos down there. We're on a turf field.
Yes. Wait, was that the UAB, the new UAB stadium? Yeah.
So anytime you look, it's Birmingham and Columbus in terms of college football viewership.
Yes.
And so I think these spring leagues have said, we're going to go to places that love football, but aren't traditional NFL cities. And they decided, why not headquarter it right there in Birmingham?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. It made sense to me. It was a business plan.
Yeah.
Getting back to this though, what kind of football? Because you got to watch it from the sideline. What kind of football should fans expect to see on Friday night in historic Crew Stadium with the UFL Aviators going against the DC Commanders?
It's going to be
not the Commanders. What are they? The DC
Defenders.
Defenders. Yeah. You got the Commanders who are giving orders to the Defenders.
Yeah, there you go.
Right. Hold your positions.
There's some rule differences in these spring leagues, but when it comes down to it, a lot of the concepts offensively and defensively are exactly what you would see at a high level on Saturdays or what you would typically see on Sundays. And I think the thing that people are going to be, I don't know if blown away is the right term, but maybe pleasantly surprised by, is there are going to be a lot of players in the spring league that you'll see on Sundays. Now, will those guys be playing a ton on Sundays? Probably not. Guys are going to make rosters out of this league. There's plenty of talented players that are looking for either a first shot or a second shot, a chance to get back to the NFL. So I think people should expect to see some really fun football, a family-friendly environment, which I think is great. Also some talented players. Like, you might be a little bit shocked at some of the guys who end up playing really well in spring, and then they're going to be in training camp right away.
What is lacking at that level though? Because here's what reason I'm asking that. Offensive line, defensive line wise. See, I think those are the hardest 5 guys to find. 5 guys. I only started counting 3 days ago. Those are the hardest 5 guys to find offensive line wise and stuff. Is there a little bit of a quality fall off there? I mean, obviously compared to a big time NFL team. What's your take on that?
So I think the lines of scrimmage are typically more difficult. It's not really a talent thing always. I think a lot of it is development.
Yeah.
Where you just need a ton of reps to become great. And some of these guys probably came up through high school programs that weren't awesome, maybe had some turnover in college with coaching. So they still need some development. Quarterback play obviously is not like what you're going to see at the highest levels, but there is still going to be some solid players there. Frankly, running backs, wide receivers, I hate to say they're a dime a dozen, but like there are plenty of really good skill players that are all over the place. And so that'll be a ton of fun there. It's, to me, I want to go out to this game. I don't know if I'm going to make it, but the idea of being able to sit down and have a team to cheer for in your city, if you're in one of these cities, or to be able to flip on the TV, which I did last weekend, and watch these games is awesome. The biggest thing is that there's not a lot of history, right? Like,
correct.
Columbus, like, what are the Aviators? And they have to build their own history, and fans have to be on board with getting along with that. And I think if they have a little bit of staying power and can develop that true fan base, like, spring league, they've been trying it for 40 years. It might become a thing.
Yeah. I'm 72 years old. I predate the American Football League.
Mm-hmm.
which finally broke through. I mean, the AAFC way back when Paul Brown started the Browns, they weren't in the NFL immediately. So I wasn't around for that. But it's very difficult. You know, that was Donald Trump's idea of owning the Generals.
Yes.
Was, you know, he didn't really care about the USFL.
No.
Back then, he wanted to wedge his
Generals
way into the National Football League. Didn't work out for him. He did get Herschel Walker to begin. He got some torque.
Paid some money.
Yeah, he made some money. But but what I'm getting to here is, what do you? That's what I guess that's what I want to add. What do you think the be all and end all is for the guys with the UFL? I mean, the guys running it, et cetera. What do they just want to have a niche where they make a decent living? They pay the bills. Obviously, you want to pay the bills, but you know what I mean? What is their carrot?
I think they want to be a league that can sustain itself, which is paying the bills. But I also think in a perfect world, they have a relationship with the NFL as a feeder of sorts.
Yeah.
Where college is the free to the NFL feeder system.
Yes.
And that's where talent is always going to come, and we'll love those players and we'll love those teams. We'll love that history. There are also a lot of players who may need some development, still have something to give, or they went through some things that they have to atone for that still deserve an opportunity, but they're not quite there yet.
Yeah.
And to be able to develop in a spring league and then feed into the NFL, I think makes sense. You could also talk me into a world where the Aviators, for example, give me 20 guys from Cleveland, give me 20 guys from Cincinnati that need more development in the offseason.
Yeah.
And they're going to come down here and they're going to play. And I think the NFL could see some sort of value in being able to have their guys play football and be coached and, you know, be in a system during the offseason that actually helps them become better football players for the fall.
That's what I was leading into. I was hoping you were going to go there because I was listening to a former, I think it's a former general manager of the for a National Football League team talking about this, talking about the way NFL teams are run now from the standpoint of how many people do they take to training camp? Maybe
90.
They take 90, but they know going into training camp, you know, the roster that they're going to end up with at the end of August is fairly static, probably with the exception of maybe 5 or 6 spots.
Sure.
And because, in other words, so I make how many? 50 guys.
53.
Roughly. Yeah.
Yep.
So I make 47 guys fighting for 37 guys.
Yep.
Fighting for 5 or 6 spots.
That's exactly what it is.
And but I wonder if the guys really recognize that, understand that.
We were having the conversation on the radio today about it, and it was coming from the NFL and their desire to add the 18th game, but they want to take away a preseason game. And I'm sitting over here as a former player, and I'm like, the preseason games are valuable. All the practices are practice, and that's how you try to make that team. The preseason games are the tape for people to evaluate to make other teams if you get cut.
Right. Tape.
But out of the 37 players, I think half of them are guys who were never going to make a roster under the current system regardless. They're just camp bodies that, you know, you just need so you can run practices.
Yeah, but do they know? I mean, you know.
I think some guys are very aware that they're a camp body. I think the other guys understand where they're at too, where they're fighting for a handful of spots, or maybe I can make a practice squad, or if I get waived here, somebody will pick me up there.
Yeah.
But it would be a better world if the guys who are just quote unquote camp bodies that clearly can play football well enough to be invited to an NFL camp had a place to go to get better. So the next year around, they can actually make a roster.
And like you said, I mean, I don't think the UFL has an affiliation with the NFL, right?
No, they don't.
Yeah, exactly. So that would make total sense because that's what I was getting to with you. Football, you're not playing football throwing the ball around in the backyard.
No.
You're not playing football really pushing on a blocking sled.
It's one of the hardest games to get better at because you don't have that many opportunities to play the
Ryan Day
game.
talks about that all the time.
Yeah.
Reps are so valuable.
You know, basketball, you watch the guys in the NBA, they get together all the time in the offseason. They run 5s, right? If you play tennis, you can play tennis. You can golf if you're a golfer. Like you go through soccer, like you can play soccer in the off season,
football and hockey, you know what I mean?
You're not doing it.
No, you're not. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. It makes sense for the NFL to kind of go that route. And like you're talking about, I mean, make it a developmental league.
Yes.
And it's funny you're talking about, possibly NFL teams playing 18 games, which I'm thinking if you go on the field, when I grew up, they played 6 preseason games.
Yeah.
And 12 or 14, I think it was 12 and then 14 regular season games. And it never, 6 preseason games.
It's a lot.
What are we talking about?
Amen.
Right? You never saw Bart Starr out there, more than, we're not, that dates me, right? Obviously. But my point is, the only way you get better at football is live reps of some sort, which has always been interesting to me about teams that kind of do these 3/4 speed drills and things like that. There is something to be said for, picking up your landmarks or learning your landmarks and doing this, that, and the other. But any other aspect of football, if it's not at full speed, how do you know what you got?
It's the Kurt Signetti where he'd rather go out for an hour and a half, but do everything fast.
Yes.
Right. Everything's full speed. We're going to we don't have to be on the field forever.
Yeah.
Right. But if we're going to do this, we have to do it like it's a game rep.
Yes.
Urban had a lot of that to his game. Now practices were much longer, but we didn't do a lot of drills where we weren't going full speed, and we didn't do a lot of drills where it wasn't competitive. And he wanted everything to be
win-lose.
Yeah. And translatable to what it feels like for a game rep.
Yeah.
And I think it's a difficult thing to try to structure when every rep can't be like that. But guys try to do it.
Yeah, no. You always make people aspire. That's the big deal. Urban's big line. I actually paraphrase this line for him. You're either getting better or you're getting worse.
Right.
Same thing in auto racing.
This or this.
Yeah. The same way in auto racing. You're either getting faster or you're getting slower because somebody else is is trying to aspire, working to get faster too and stuff. It's really, really interesting approach, but it's the only way to do it. And but I want to get this last thing before we move on. Football is one of those rare sports, hockey to a certain extent, but you could probably go to the local rink and play hockey.
Mm-hmm.
There are leagues. Bill Rabinowitz plays hockey. You know what I mean?
Does he?
Yeah. But he has a good time at it. You know what I mean? You can, you got to play at 3 a.m. and get ice time. But my point is, football is almost the only sport where when somebody tells you you're done,
you're done.
You're done. Yeah. You're not getting 22 buddies up and go play tackle football.
You can, but you'd be a fool to do it
a couple of times, and then you'd only have like 14 of those buddies.
Yeah.
You understand?
And they'd be like.
So I wanted to ask you real quick. So somebody told you were done, right? Might have been your own voice in your head, but somebody told you, it's not working out, like Seattle, not working out, whatever. How did you quickly deal with that?
So I don't know if it was
we might have talked about this before on one of your other peers, but I don't remember asking you that very question.
I knew my time was done. I retired because of concussions for folks who don't know. And I was told that I can continue to play. Wasn't medically disqualified, but I knew that wasn't in my best interest.
Wait a minute. But you had the number of concussions.
Yes.
But you weren't medically disqualified.
Right.
Did that trouble you?
Well, yeah. They'll let you play until you walk in there mumbling.
Yeah.
So
want to make sure I got that on the record,
which is crazy.
Yeah.
So for me, it wasn't like, flip the page, you got to get over it. Like there was a long grieving period for me of my football career. And in particular, the fact that my pro career did not go the way that I had imagined it. I thought I would play for much longer and be a much better player along the way. So there were those thoughts and those emotions that you have to deal with. And that was an ongoing process. And I still think about it to this day, but not anything I regret leaving or I wish I would have done this. Things are good. But there's also the reality of I played for 2 years, made good money, was not going to have a pension, and don't have to work any more money.
Yeah.
So what are we going to do?
Yeah.
And I always had a plan, and I thank my parents for this. I thank Coach Meyer for this as well. With Real Life Wednesdays, I had a plan for what I wanted to do when I was done playing, and that was to sell real estate. So I went and got a real estate license very shortly thereafter. And that's not a career that you start up very quickly at all. So I went from making plenty of money to that first year I made probably like $40K and was like, I can build this. And I did. I started to build that thing, but it wasn't all that fulfilling. Real estate is fun. It was competitive. It's also a rat race, and it is thankless, and the hours are ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I decided.
By the way, one of my favorite shows is a Millionaire Listings.
It's great, isn't it?
$1 Million Listings.
Yeah,
LA.
the TV shows make it all seem like it's phenomenal.
Wow,
So,
what an exciting life. Go ahead.
What I did was I flipped the real estate career for another rat race that has maybe a few more thanks, but the hours are terrible still, and that's media. But I've got a natural skill for this.
Yes,
it's something that I genuinely enjoy. And it keeps me close to the game that I grew up loving and continue to love to this day. So
yeah,
I kind of fell into this side of it. Took me a couple years to really figure out that this was something I could do and make money doing it, which I'm fortunate to have done. But like there was a portion of me that's like, you got to process through everything that's happening, but also you got to be able to pay bills. And so that's how I got on my track.
What impressed me about you too, though, and maybe you changed after talking about you understood the NFL is not forever.
Yeah.
You didn't go and buy the biggest house on the hill in San Diego.
Sometimes I wish I would have, and then just said, figure it out from there.
Yeah. Well, you could always sell that house. That was the point. You would have some equity sitting there.
That's what these guys, it's funny. It's like the serial entrepreneur guys, like they'll borrow a bunch of money. Yeah. And then they're like, well, I got to make the idea work now.
Yeah.
And sometimes I wish I was a little bit more reckless like that. Like, buy the big house on the hill and then just say, all right, well, now I got to figure out how to pay the mortgage.
Yeah.
But I didn't.
Yeah. Yeah. You could have been Musk. You could have been football's Musk, Elon Musk, come up with all kinds of different things.
Get the wind up car.
But you did start your family until you were done.
I didn't.
With football.
So I retired in 2018. My wife and I got married in 2020. We had our son, James, in 24.
Yeah.
And Charlotte last year in 25.
If I had a way to do it, I would put the photos up because.
Oh, it's all good.
I know, but you know what I'm saying? I love my grandson so much. He's kind of weird. And I would think
is it better this
knowing your mom and dad, they probably.
Huh? Is it better with the grandkids than it is?
It is kids? Because you know what? I mean, I used to tell like John Cooper, I see you more during football season. I see my wife. I really did. Cause I was up there. That was when you could hang out up there.
Right.
And be there and I would, cause you never know what's going to happen, and, but I was in essence, the only guy there a lot of times media wise. I mean, Dom and, Dom Teperi and Paul Spahn, Moose, they would, they'd be there a lot too. But, yeah, it was kind of, I'd hang out with the guys in the maintenance room, which was a maintenance garage after they built the Woody A Center. I wrote all my stories in there. I was sitting in there that one summer day in training camp when one of my quote sources, one of those guys, one of the maintenance guys walked in. He goes, "You're not going to believe it. Robert Smith just quit the team."
Oh my God.
And I went, get out of here, man. I was writing some kind of feature story about an offensive lineman. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, go ahead and
trying to get ahead of
go ahead and trash that story.
Every time I try to get ahead of the game, that's why I don't like to write way ahead because stuff happens. Like when Keith Byers broke his foot, the one practice I missed in '85 was that practice on Labor Day. My wife and I were moving into the house we still live in now out in Hilliard. And that's why we haven't moved anymore because I don't want something to happen.
Don't miss anything.
Yeah. So
you're retired now. You got time to move.
41 years later. Yeah. Yeah, I do. I'm still though, man. I still think I enjoy talking to the guys. I know you do. I mean, I really do. I don't know how to explain it to people, and I know sometimes I ask weird questions or whatever, or butt in, but I really enjoy that part of it. The sitting down and typing, never, ever liked that.
Are you a good typer?
No, I'm a horrible typer. I probably should have learned how to type before I got into a job.
Taken a class.
Yeah, it would have been me like getting into coding.
Yeah.
What do you mean? I got to learn the keyboard.
I struggle with the typing because of the pinky. I can't reach over to the.
I don't use. I use
shift.
I use I
got to use.
I use 3 fingers on this hand. I think 2 on this hand. That's the way I type. That's the hunt and peck is what it's called, and I use my thumbs for the space bar. But I can type pretty fast.
Okay.
But that's neither here nor there. But my point is, you evolve. I really like doing this. I don't know if I'm any good at it, but our interaction, I've always enjoyed you.
I appreciate that.
Our conversations and stuff, whether it was at Roosters or wherever, you know what I mean?
Conversations.
Yeah.
Plenty of places.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, Here's a guy. Let's run this video that Clay Hall. Thank you, Clay. Paying homage to Clay Hall. That we had a little interview with Paris Johnson Jr. He's a guy who's in the midst of his big-time career, first-round draft pick.
He's going to have a long, big-time career.
He's on a team that's had trouble, the Arizona Cardinals.
He's with his old coach, though.
Yes, he is. And just let him talk here a little bit about what he's going through, what he saw at Ohio State practice the other day, offensive line-wise, that buoys him or, whatever. But it's interesting because when you're at the height of the game, I would think, boy, life is good, right? I mean, game checks are great, but life is good being a pro football player.
It ain't bad.
Yeah. Let's hear what he had to say. Oh my goodness, look who we ran into. Tried to go around him.
No, we didn't run into this.
But he's still got that reach.
Do that.
He's still got that reach and that girth, and it's hard to get around Paris Johnson Jr.
Known to his mom as PJ.
Yeah, PJ. What are you known? What are you known as other than by your mom? The man.
You just go by PJ, Paris,
Yeah.
Anything.
Paris, what a great name. Paris, my favorite hotel in Las Vegas for some reason. I think it's because you can see the Bellagio fountains from Paris instead of having to pay Bellagio prices. But that's another story. Hey, Paris, you dropped by practice today. We're on the after the fifth day of practice for Ohio State on this Saturday. And what did you see? What was just your general impression of what you saw running around out there?
Yeah, I mean, I love being able to see the team sort of fly around, seeing the guys in pads. It was exciting to see the energy that they had on the field today. I'm getting to watch the O-line. I'm getting to see a lot of the young guys. The team looks so different from last year. I heard there's like about 50 new guys between freshmen and transfers.
Yeah, 51.
But, 50, that's insane.
Yeah.
But see these guys sort of fly around. I got to talk to a lot of young O-linemen after practice. But I think they're trending in the right direction.
Paris, you're a grizzled veteran now, right? How does it help to be acclimated and handle your business now at the highest level?
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. I mean, it's a blessing from God to be able to go into year 4, in the NFL. Don't take that for granted. But, I'll say the journey's been fun. It's been fun, and, playing at the highest level is fun. It's no stress. But I mean, it's a blessing, and the preparation that I've had here makes playing in the NFL a whole lot of fun and not a lot of pressure.
Ready to make a move out there, I'm sure?
Oh, yeah. I mean,
the Cardinal. Yeah. You're in the brain trust now. You're probably telling that GM, hey, we got to step up at QB. We got to. Do you expect something here in the draft to vastly change your team?
Well, I mean, I trust our GM. I trust the decisions that he's made, and I know that he's going to put us in the best position to get the right guys. So that way we can be competitive this year. I would say the one thing about the culture that Monty has built, I guess I just said the word. It's about culture.
Yeah.
He's not all about who's who does the world think that we may need, but he is more starting to think about how these guys fit in with a culture, almost like a college team.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's why the Buckeyes are always successful, is that we're not always just getting guys based off the star rankings, based off the 24/7 Sports, saying we're getting guys that come here to make an impact. They fit in it exactly.
Yeah.
They bond, they come together. It's a culture. And I would say, honestly, that's why I love my experience with the Cardinals. Even though we have not always been able to win these games, I believe the direction that we're starting to trend is positive, because guys love coming to work every day.
Yeah.
And that's because he brings guys that are about the right thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and the bottom line is you put in all that work. You work probably as hard now as you did in college.
100%.
Off the field, off season, et cetera. And you don't want to be sitting there in week 11 with no shot at anything, right? I mean, that's when you really find out if you're a professional or not, is when you grind through things like that, right? I mean, what have you learned about yourself in that regard, Ferris?
Yeah, I would say I've learned about not only myself, but my entire team during those times when, for most people in that situation, they feel like they don't have anything to play for. I feel like I'm still playing for the exact same thing. Because when I'm on the field, the play's no less important, whether or not there's playoff implications or anything, because I got a guy behind me that's fighting with me that I got to take care of.
Yeah.
And I think it speaks volumes of the guys in the locker room, because usually that's where you see, usually that's when you hear about teams starting to split.
Yep.
Guys starting to split over the fact that, they don't feel like there's something to play for. They sort of lose that game, turning point in the season. then guys start to give up.
You don't see that.
I do not see that. I don't feel that in the locker room.
Yeah.
I would say it's the same intensity with the coaching. You know, it's a blessing to have Coach Fry. Also, you know, he's here with me, here with Arizona. He keeps coaching his tail off every week, you know, win or lose.
Sure.
Have a guy like that around and speaks to the kind of culture that Monty's been able to build in the building.
Yeah, the video camera never blinks. Right? So the video is going to show the video. I mean, it's going to show where there's effort there. 4th year, man, that's a big year for anybody who gets drafted in the National Football League, right? How do you keep that out of your brain, knowing, you know, what could be coming even the next year, you know what I mean, from a contract standpoint or things like that? Or have you already re-upped? I mean, how does that work?
Right, so right now, the only thing on my mind is continuing to work each day, to focus on trying to win the day, to stay in the moment.
Yeah.
And I keep telling myself that, you know, I'm just here to earn. I'm here to earn. There's nothing that's going to be given, that's going to be handed out. The way I'm going to approach my training is that I'm here just to earn. And that ultimately is between God, my agent, and Arizona Cardinals to whatever happens next. But I mean, in the meantime, my only concern is continuing to earn my place, but not only within the team, because I know where I am on the team, but to earn my place in terms of the rankings with the rest of the left tackles in the National Football League. That's where I'm trying to compete and earn my status there.
Last one for me. Did you communicate much with the O-line here? Any tidbits, advice, try to propel their game to the next level?
Yes, I was just sharing with them some keys and stuff I wish I knew, you know, when I first came in, especially to all the guys who came in who early enrolled, getting to share some stuff with them. Hey, here's stuff I learned last year, 2 years ago, stuff I learned when I came out during draft prep. Here's some easy things that can help them start to change their game a little bit. The harder thing with offensive line is that I can't tell them something and then they go take it to the next practice, and for it to work, because it takes reps after reps of trying it, because not only have to try it in the field, you have to trust it. Yeah. So as much as I was sharing them the details, I was saying, hey, almost like, you know, warning a commercial, do not try this at home kind of warning. I'm like, hey, I want to talk about it, so that way, you know, when I come back in the summertime, I would love to be able to spend some more time to talk about it, teach it, we can do some stuff together. And then now, once you start to gain some more trust, then now we can start, you know, taking the show on the road and seeing how you like it, how you feel it, but just starting to put some stuff in their brain. Just some simple stuff, you know what I mean?
Dude, what stood out about you is how unselfish you were when you were at Ohio State. You seemed like the same guy. You know what I mean? Go play guard, you know. You wouldn't play guard, right? Whatever it takes to get on the field, but also contribute and stuff. Do you sense that same attitude? Like you were talking about the change of getting the chemistry right at Arizona is a big deal for you. Do you sense that still matters even at that level?
It does.
For a team to have guys on it that all for one for all kind of mentality.
It does. I would say in the league, you can assemble a team full of guys who do not know each other at all, and if they're winning, you can call the bond tight.
Yeah.
But when these games are not going the right way, in the end, whether you're winning the whole time and you lose in the end, you find out very fast and sure how tight the team is.
Sure.
By how assured that you guys are still on the same mission, which doesn't change. Confidence level does not change. The prep does not change at all, and the mentality going to the very next week, you know, does not shift. And I think when you can feel that, that's how you know the makeup of the guys you have in the locker room. You know.
Hey, one quickie, a bonus. How proud of you are you of your mom and stuff? I mean, she's parlayed and, you know, she's making a difference.
Yeah.
And what does that mean to you? Because, you know, y'all were so tight, you know, growing up and stuff. But to see her take some things and run with it.
Yeah, you know, I'm super proud of my mom, the impact that she's been able to make here at Ohio State, you know, since I've been gone. Since it's incredible. I tell her, you know, now it's like, you know, you're officially, you know, part of the Buckeyes now. You know, now I have departed. So, you know, it's awesome to see her continue to carry on that tradition here, and it means the world to her, and I'm super excited to see all the things that she's going to continue to do.
Oh, that's beautiful. Ladies and gentlemen, Paris Johnson Jr. never changes, except he might be a little bit taller. I'm not sure. Hey, how about Sam Greer?
Yeah, it looks good. I did.
That is a big human being, correct?
No, I was hyped to see him play, and she's just I would say
freshman.
Even though he just came in, and you say he's playing the game the right way, and there's just a few small things that if he adds, his trajectory is going to shoot up incredibly fast. I told him I shared with him some stuff, and I was like, hey, honestly, if you if any of this stuff does not make sense to you, don't do it. If you keep training the right way, I was like, you will find yourself being an All-American here, being a top pick here. And if it doesn't make sense now, I want you to find me during the pre-draft training. If you want to train out in Arizona, and I will show you all this same stuff again. Because at some point we're going to have to talk about it, because it's going to be stuff you need to use in the NFL. But right now, you keep playing the right way, keep listening to coach, doing things the right way. I was like, you will be in the league very, very soon. Just stay positive and keep training the right way.
He's got the raw material. You can't make steel out of brass. That's what I always say, right?
Right.
Hey, Paris Johnson Jr., thanks for joining us, my man. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys.
Good to see you, man.
What do you think, man? I mean, Paris Johnson Jr., I would call him a success in the National Football League. Like we were talking about a while ago, hasn't played for a Super Bowl, even a near Super Bowl team yet and stuff. But you find different ways to motivate yourself because, number one, you are getting paid.
Yes.
And getting paid to play at your highest level. You know?
He's the right kind of guy, though. I think
yes,
part of his deal, and in that last clip right there, I think was a really good one. He wants to be a leader of men. He wants to do things the right way, and he wants to help to support his teammates any way possible. And it might not all happen at the beginning. It certainly doesn't all happen at once.
Yeah.
But he's going to find success one way or another in the National Football League because he's made of the right stuff.
Yeah. And boy, you've been to a couple of practices, or at least one, I'm sure. Sam Greer, the freshman.
I haven't been yet.
Oh, dude, he is huge. And he's out there and he's doing these rocket kicks, in that little warm-up line, which is part of our 20 minutes when we get to watch practice. But he's doing these rocket kicks and touching his hand, basically. I'm just going, where and you're one of those freaks. Where do you guys come from?
I don't know. Yeah, it's my mom and dad, that one.
Well, I know, but I'm saying,
yeah,
did you ever think back to, how dominant you were at times as a young man growing up in terms of playing football or doing whatever sport?
Yeah,
I'm trying to keep you modest, but also
I don't want to say anything that sounds cocky. I think
yeah,
right? Like I was always a big kid.
That's another question coming from that, but go ahead.
I was always a big kid. I always had very good control over my body. I was never an awkward mover, anything like that. Always one of the faster kids in school. So you kind of know. You put certain things together. Big kid, can run, strong, good body control, like probably going to be a decent athlete.
Yeah, and then you find out he likes running into people.
Yeah. And
making life terrible for people and stuff. That's called hitting the what do they call it? The DNA jackpot,
the lottery.
Yeah, the lottery. But here's the thing: it's like all of a sudden, then you show up at Ohio State, and that's. I think did you come in you were the first year in the Meyer.
I was
era.
Yes,
and but
Urban didn't recruit me though.
Exactly.
Nor did he want me.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to get into all deep on that, but I want to say this. But Mickey Marotti you're one of his great examples.
Yeah.
Of turning a guy who's gotten by on his size and his speed.
Got to mold the body.
Into shaping you.
Yes,
what was that like? Well, number one, what was that like to go through? But then number two, is you look back on it, man alive, did that make you even a better?
Yes. It was
specimen.
Rough.
I was going to say, I don't know. Couldn't think of any other word, but specimen.
Probably a good enough one. It was rough at the time. They're uncompromising. Those workouts are difficult. I enrolled when I was 17. I was an early enrollee. So I'm a young dude. It's my first time outside the nest.
Like Sonny Styles.
Yeah. Just like I had no idea what I was running into, but we all knew my body needed to evolve. My mental toughness needed to evolve, my physical toughness, all the other things that come along with the conditioning and the strength training and everything. And Mick is phenomenal in knowing exactly how to project body. So he sees you when you're 17 and knows what you could look like when you're 21 and helped me to get there. Kenny Parker and Anthony Schlegel, who are currently there, and some other guys who were around when I was there, helped in that process. The biggest thing that you take away from that is how you can commit yourself to do hard things that you don't want to do specifically.
Yeah.
And that's been my biggest lesson is you should try to do things that you don't want to do. You should always try to do things that stress your skill set and stress your limitations. And they pushed me to it. Being a good athlete in high school wasn't that hard to beat kids.
Yeah.
In football, basketball, track and field was my first love. It wasn't hard to win at that time. This required a little bit more difficulty, and you didn't always want to do it. And that was the rewiring that happened for me.
Yeah, I can see you in the halls of Olentangy High School. Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, Joshua. Do you know where the theater group is meeting? And
I was in the crew for the show choir back in the day. I knew where all the
stuff
okay.
Was. I was going to go. You would go like this over there. No, I'm sure you were, man. I bet you. We'll get into that next time you're on here. About being well-rounded. I don't even know if well-rounded. That's just exploring yourself,
hey, man,
right?
This is what you're supposed to do, though. You got to get involved in different things.
Yeah,
you can't just be the jock.
Exactly. Well, speaking of recruiting classes, Ohio State in 2022 had the 4th or 5th best recruiting class in the country, depending on where you looked, what ratings you believed. Because everybody's got to be a little bit different, or why else would you exist if you weren't different from that guy or that rating group? But there's only 3 guys left from that group. They'd be 5th-year seniors, or whatever you call them now. Carson Hinzman, Kenyatta Jackson, Bennett Christian, tight end. But kind of started off this little media session with Carson Hinzman the other day, Ohio State's returning starting center. Like I said, piecemeal to one of the great runs in Ohio State football history in 2024, when he was kind of called out of the doghouse, really, midseason, when a couple of injuries happened on the offensive line. And then he was part and parcel to what they did in the championship run, those four-game run to the championship. And just a new player all of a sudden out of nowhere. I've always liked him, though. I don't know how he got in there was a podcast thing, but I can't believe that would get you in that deep of a doghouse.
Yeah. I mean, that was probably, I don't want to speak out of turn here.
Yeah.
But that had to be like the final straw type deal.
Yeah.
There's probably some other stuff leading up to it, but players sometimes need a reset. And we had guys like that when I was at Ohio State. I remember Corey Smith, who unfortunately, since leaving Ohio State, has been in some trouble, but he was a guy who couldn't get right. And then he kind of had like a moment in school where he was like, I'm going to become a great player and I'm going to fall in line and do the things that are required.
Yeah.
And sometimes players need that. And I think it's important, number one, for the player to have the realization. But number two, as a coach, I think previous behavior is a great predictor for future behavior. But you can't hold every transgression against a kid forever.
Right.
So once he works his way out of the doghouse, you got to let him be out of the doghouse, which they did. And I think that was important too.
Yeah. Eventually you got to test whether your restrictions, whether your punishments you put on him have worked.
Right.
You know what I mean? You just, I'm with you, brother. Well, let's just get Carson Hinzman talking to us. We don't get much time with these players, like the good old days, but the good old days are never coming back.
I know, we must suck. Should we? Yeah, be here this long. No, I'm just kidding. No, but yeah, I mean, it's cool, being with the guys like Bennett and KJ. I mean, they've been, my buddies and stuff since we've been in the dorm. I guess it's really just KJ because Bennett came early, but yeah, I mean, we've grown really close the past, 4 years.
Is it crazy to you, though, how many 51, whatever it is, new faces are around here?
Yeah, I know. It's like going to like
a. Take you to get to know everybody.
Yeah. I'll be honest. Last year I saw a picture of someone. I was like, he was on the team. No, I mean I try to do the best I can, kind of getting around. Obviously, you want to start with your unit out. I think the guys we have this year, honestly, great. They're a great fit. I don't think we've had really any problems with anyone who's come in as either a young guy or transfer. Yeah. I know we even got another offensive lineman coming this summer, but from what I've heard, he'll fit in as well.
But is this the future of college football? I mean, it's crazy a little bit, right?
No, and I think we've been kind of like, I think we've been pretty blessed over the past kind of couple years. When we had the Natty run, we had a lot of older guys that came back, kind of when the portal started first opening like that, and then after that we had to get a lot of young guys that stepped up this last year. So this is kind of the first year we've had really, dipped in that portal, and so as a whole team, I mean, you only got about 50-50 coming back. And so, but I think, if that's the way college football is looking, I think we've been doing a great job as it. I think the culture's been fitting everybody.
You find yourself as an older guy, though, wanting to spend a lot of time expressing to them what's expected here, if you follow my drift there. I mean,
oh, yeah. No, absolutely.
And what is that, by the way?
Yeah, I think it's just the standard. I mean, I think the standard's been the standard for, if you go ask, Orlando Pace, what the standard was back then, being a Buckeye. I mean, have stickers on your helmet, you should have a little bit, pardon my French, but shit to you.
Yeah.
I think the guys come in here, they know that. I think they know the heritage of being a Buckeye. I don't think they've looked at it as a scapegoat or cheap or something that's sweet. I think they've been coming in and put their head down and working. So it's been cool to see that, how fast they've kind of conglomerated, if I can talk, into the whole group. So I think, the spring and then the summer is only going to be more opportunities to grow closer together as a team.
I think it's German.
Josh Fryer after the 2023 season heading into 2024, and it was a lot of like kind of Woody versus the world, and you guys have maybe heard some of the outside noise after another kind of rough post of the season for the offensive line.
Yeah.
Do you see any parallels between the sort of motivation you guys had coming off of that season and that sort of outside noise and this season?
Yeah, I mean, I think this season's going to be a great opportunity to kind of, show what we had, maybe rewrite some of our wrongs we had this last year. But I think more experience. We have, more skill work and stuff like that. I think our guys have only gotten better. And so obviously we have something to prove, but we can't let that kind of be the main driving force. I think the main driving force of the guys, man, Jules is a great guy. I don't want to see him get hit. And so I think together, if we just kind of nail down the fundamentals and stuff like that, which is exactly what we're doing this spring, I think we'll be a pretty solid group.
Carson, you guys have I believe you have the most returning snaps in power forward on your offensive line. Where does that show up the most for you guys? Where do you think that continuity has shown up the most for you guys so far in the spring?
Yeah, probably the rehab room. You can see a lot of the old guys in there getting work in. No, I'm just kidding. I think just the fact that we can trust each other with our calls. I mean, even if Coach Patricia just put in some BS defense like he always does, I think it's good for us that we can trust that. All right, like one way or another, I know we're going to get this done. Even if we're all wrong, we're all right because we know exactly where we're going. And so I think that being able to handle that communication as strong as a group. I mean, even in the NFL, you can see, teams need that crucial communication. And so to be able to work on that as a group that has experience now together is really special.
How much of that communication, I guess it's based off familiarity, could be holding each other accountable, having maybe some tougher conversations about what you guys can be better at? Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, you got to be able to not only hold someone else accountable, but hold yourself accountable and allow them to hold you accountable as well, which is hard. Being a competitor and a prideful, person, we all are. And so to be able to put that aside and really take constructive criticism and not just criticizing, but actually giving some constructive feedback is important.
Where's that saying come from? Even if we're all wrong, we're all right.
I mean, I think sometimes, I guess in layman's terms, if we go up to the line and for some reason we're not pointing the right guy, we're off, but every single person, including Jules and the running back, is on, we have a chance to make that play right. I mean, I think we had a play against Minnesota. This is before I even got here. I only heard stories of it where the line went completely the wrong way, and then CJ Stroud still threw a touchdown, and we're like, well, that looked cool. maybe I should put it in. But no, like if we're all wrong together, we can all make something right happen.
What do you want to learn about the offensive line this spring?
I mean, really, right now we're looking at depth. We're looking at experience. We're looking at what could be the best fit for us right now. You obviously want to put the 5 best guys in the field, and so I think Coach Bowen's been doing a great job of evaluating that. And we've literally just first day in pads after coming back from some of those guys in Miami and whatever, something like that. So shaking off some rust, but those guys come back to work, so it's been cool.
How have you seen Coach Bowen respond first full off season here and coming off the way the season ended? How have you seen him respond as a coach for you guys?
Yeah, he's been great. I mean, I think the best thing he does is be consistent. And so I think, knowing what you're going to get with him every day is good because now you know how to respond, you know how to work on yourself, work on your own skills and stuff like that. And so I think for him to continue to come in with the same, we got to get better. We got to have more velocity off the football. We got to play more violent and that kind of stuff to kind of pound the nail on that has been really good for us.
Carson, you had an NFL draft decision to make, obviously, at the end of last year. Why was it important for you to come back, and what went into that decision? Can you just kind of walk us through that?
Yeah, there's a place called Original Pancake House, and I love the Ashley Waffle Dream there. I couldn't leave it. I love the guys around here, man. I mean, there's very few and far between refined cultures that are this close that are really good football players. And so I think to come back and continue to work on myself, work on the skills I have to try to, better myself for this upcoming season to hopefully get maybe a little higher spot and potential draft this next year, Lord willing. And so to come back and continue to work on myself, work on what I can do for this team is important to me.
Where are those areas that you're talking about working on yourself? Like, where do you want to see your biggest growth this year?
Yeah, I mean, there's stuff everywhere. I mean, you can always fine-tune everything. I mean, like my footwork, being stronger in my core. I think, working on my hamstrings, being able to pull away from the line quicker is going to be really important, be able to land punches and be firm at the point, and not just, kind of walling with guys, but actually driving through people in the run game is going to be important as well. But there's a ton that comes with that, but at the end of the day, it just comes down to intent. Just continue to work on my intent, and not thinking or processing, just going to play football.
As a group, what was the lesson
a few years ago, redshirt freshman coming in thrust into the lineup to where you are now? Just
Yeah.
What are the biggest things that feel different now?
I have more facial hair, and I have blonde hair. That's the big thing. That and the game slowed down a little bit. I mean, it'll still get you sometimes with, coach, having two NFL caliber, O&D coordinators right now. They'll get me on some stuff. I mean, I know Coach Patricia, even today, I was like, I don't know why you're running. Like, it's just crazy stuff. And so, but that only makes you better as a player because you've seen so much and be able to respond to so much. I mean, I feel really confident in my own ability, and I know the guys feel really confident in my ability to get us right, even if we don't know what the front is exactly.
What's Arthur Smith been like for you guys so far?
He's been great. He keeps promising A-Rod's going to come in, and being a Green Bay Packer fan, I'm going to hold him to it, hopefully. But he's been awesome. I mean, I think for him to when he first came in, he gave us like a 15-minute PowerPoint of – it's not really PowerPoint, just kind of like a bunch of film of guys just like laying out like dudes on the field and stuff like this is how we're going to play. And I love that mentality to come in and be physical and, establish dominance of the offensive line. I think that's what he really wants to put in, is the mentality like, hey, we're going to run off the football. We're going to roll. We're going to, try to make those teeth click when we're first coming off. And so for him to, again, pound the nail again on violence, I think is important for us.
Is it a plus that he's a former offensive lineman? Like, played the position?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I know. The next best thing is hopefully get some free shipping from him, but I don't know. We'll see about that.
Last question.
It was special. As soon as I see that, you think about all the guys that, I played here before. I think that's kind of where the emotions hit me kind of after the game. Like, it's all those guys like Donnie and Josh and Jimmy and Toby and Zen and all those guys that, I've played with in the past. I didn't get a chance to
I'll get cut out. I took that down before I wanted to. But bottom line is it's your last year. When it's your last year, man, it matters more, right?
Yeah, you want to sell out.
Yeah.
You want to make sure that, first off, you can have the successful year that you want. And you never want to have regrets. I have regrets. The last game I ever played in the Horseshoe was a regrettable game, 2015 against Michigan State. These guys want to avoid that, but you also want to leave a legacy when you're not in the room anymore of the culture and the standard that you want guys to live up to and hopefully exceed. And I think he understands all that.
Yeah. Add to the expectations.
That's right.
Don't take away from them. 51 new players. That's crazy. You cover college football for NBC. We see your shiny face every Saturday, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Is this going to be the norm? 51 new faces at Ohio State. I mean, 2 years ago, they got by a bunch of guys deciding I'm not done yet.
Right.
And that was kind of the same thing, when you think about it.
I mean, I think that was a very unique setup of, if we come back, we can win a title. And guys made sure NIL helped with all that kind of stuff.
Yes, of course.
I think where a place like Ohio State is going to see turnover is they have been very clear here that they're not going to pay off of potential. And that includes guys that they recruited out of high school and had to pay to get here, because those guys are getting paid to come in the door and they haven't produced yet.
Yeah.
And they see the market around them, and maybe they're in a position to become a starter, but they haven't really produced. And they're like, I want starter money right now. They're like, we can work with you. We can maybe get you a little bit more, but I can't pay you what the market's getting ready to pay you. We've got other guys that we need to take care of. Or if you want to walk out the door, we'll just get somebody else to come in here that has the proven production that we're looking for.
Yeah.
And so I think that's how you get to a spot where, on top of a big high school class of 25 kids or 26 kids or whatever it is, you have a bunch of transfers that come in. In a perfect world, you want to still try to build through high school. And especially if you find the Chris Henrys and the Jeremiahs of the world, players like that, you want to make sure you can bring them into your program day one. You want to replace for needs in the portal. So you have a Caleb Downs leave, Arvell Reese, Sonny Styles leave. You want to make sure that you can bring players in that have at least the amount of experience that those guys had, if not the level of production, which is going to be hard to replace. Where you struggle with the portal turnover is when it's just guys in, guys out, and there's no rhyme or reason. Right? Guys are leaving because it's a terrible culture. I'm not getting playing time. I don't like the locker room. Hate my coach. All that negativity. Good to have negativity out, but you're pushing them out. You don't necessarily want that. And then you don't just want to say, well, this guy was a 5-star once upon a time. I think we can fix him, even though this other coaching staff couldn't do anything with him.
Yeah.
You don't want to get into that game.
Exactly. By the way, he's sitting there wearing number 75, Orlando Pace's number. I'm not going to get into whether numbers should be retired or not, but I just remember when I was growing up as a big Alabama fan back in the late 50s or 60s, when Joe Namath came to Alabama in 1961, I was I was 7 years old. I knew I was going to see that guy for 3 more years. He couldn't play as a freshman.
Right.
But, I mean, in this transfer portal era, man, I feel sorry for some young fans who, at some schools, they latch on to a guy. He becomes their favorite player. Next year, he's playing for your rival or some team halfway across the country and stuff. It's just, do you think college football is eventually going to pay a price for that?
Yeah, I think a little bit. I remember back to when I was a youngster and I watched, Bobby Carpenter, and I watched Matt Wilhelm and James Laurinaitis and Marcus Freeman. I also watched Teddy Ginn Jr. out there making a ton of plays. I watched Troy Smith. He was phenomenal. Dane Sanzenbacher was one of my favorites just as a player. Watched Hartline when he was a player. And, you gravitate towards some of the players.
Yes.
And I think one of the beautiful things is the Block O just runs deep. And so some of it's almost like the NFL where the shield's the biggest thing. Some of it is that the Block O is the Block O. Mm-hmm. But there's also a part of it of who's wearing it and the memories that they give you and the idea of, Jeremiah is a perfect example of this. He's going to give us 3 phenomenal years, and he's going to make so many fans off of that.
Yeah.
There are going to be some other players, Caleb Downs, couple of years.
Yeah.
You're fortunate to have with him.
Yeah.
Other players, Will Howard. You get 1 great year with him.
Yeah.
And then there are going to be other players where they come in and they produce a little bit and then they dip on you and you never see them again.
Yeah.
To go play somewhere else in college. So I think there is part of that. But if you love the Block O, you love the Block O. You're just going to have to figure out what the roster is on a year-to-year basis.
Yeah, exactly. Don't go to that opener definitely in this coming year without a roster. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
Hey, Joshua Perry, always a pleasure. You know that. You and I have been on many things together. You've been on the Tim May podcast several times.
Yes.
It might be like hosting SNL, Saturday Night Live. Maybe I'll have an award for you next time.
I like it.
But, man, I appreciate you coming on this time, brother. I know you put in 3 hours with Rothman before you showed up, and you did the grind. But is there anything you'd like to ask me before we leave? Anything that you've been pondering, not necessarily about life or how you raise kids, things like that, but is there anything you want to know from me?
So I'll lay it out like this.
All right.
I've been in the media space since 2018.
Yeah.
And even in that short amount of time, I've seen a lot of changes, seen how radio has changed, which is where I started. I've watched a million different changes in television. I've watched the consumption patterns of people change, how a lot of great writers that I know are struggling to find consistent work right now.
Yeah.
What would be the biggest piece of advice you would give to people today that are trying to figure out how to attack being in the space that you came up through and were successful through?
That's interesting because you know what, to be a quote success, you had to get hired by one of the big time names, in Lufkin, it was the Lufkin News.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was growing up, Lufkin, Texas,
yep.
I was a sports editor, got named a sports editor there when I was 19. I think I was the youngest sports editor at that moment of a daily newspaper in the state of Texas.
Right.
But the point is, back then you had to get hired by these legends, these legendary names. What do you call those? That've been around. The
legacies.
Yeah, the legacies.
Yeah.
That was I knew it started with LEG, but I couldn't go past that. But the bottom line is you had to get almost hired by a legacy. But if you got hired by a legacy, I'm talking about newspaper wise, unless you just screwed up Royal, you had a job for life.
Right.
You know, and that's what I had with the Dispatch. I mean, I retired from the Columbus Dispatch when I was 65 years old. I was always going to retire when I could get on Medicare.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Because, you know, nobody wants to pay that gap insurance or whatever the heck you call it. But my point is now, Cobra was the word. Two fangs. No, but I didn't have to deal with that. Thank God. Thank goodness. My point is nowadays, as I tell young people when I've had the chance to talk to them, you can kind of start your own media. You know, you've got to be willing to not get paid for a while, maybe for a long time. But if you strike out, and you know, anybody can start a podcast. If you have a YouTube membership, or not even that, you can put load stuff on YouTube and not have to pay them at all. But my point is, you can get experience doing what we're doing right now whenever you want to start doing that.
Yeah.
And then if you kind of, the whole thing is to create a following of some sort, but be as accurate as you can be when you're doing things like that. And eventually somewhere, if you're halfway decent, somebody's going to discover you, like fanstreamsports.com discovered me.
Right.
No,
I get what you're saying, though.
No, but I mean, the point is, you know, I was with Letterman Rowe and then On 3, and then I quit after the national championship, 2024 national championship. I just pretty much said, you know, I do want to move away from this.
Right.
But dude, what always brings me back is guys like you and getting to interview people, or in some form or fashion be part of a conversation with sports guys. I've always loved that. So number one, you gotta like that part of it,
right,
before you get into something like this. But the main thing is, I would tell anybody, don't go into like starting a podcast and now you're going to start a movement.
Sure.
You know, I don't watch those.
Right.
I don't watch those podcasts. I know a lot of people do.
Yeah.
Go in and like kind of bring to mind or bring to the fore things or people you find interesting.
Yeah.
And interview them, because everybody's got a story to tell. You've got 4,000. That's what's great about having you. But the main thing is, and be curious about it.
Right.
You know,
right.
Don't just go in and as Bobby Rayo used to say, half-fast it. You know, he was a race car driver.
Yeah.
F-A-S-T. Half-fast it. Don't go half-fast it. You know, go full throttle.
So let me interject and ask you this one. Do you think it's harder or easier nowadays? Because I think the barriers to entry are lower.
Yeah.
But is it harder or easier to stay?
It's harder to stay.
Yeah.
It's harder to stay and make a living.
Yeah.
At it. I mean, you know, those guys, there's 30 or 40 guys at Ohio State media.
Right.
You know, most of them, almost every one of them, well, even the newspaper guys work for .com now. And the thing is, you know, they really, in the media, they can, unless you're just a big high profile dude, you know, like a Feinbaum or somebody like that, Stephen A. Smith or something, they can pay you what they want to pay you.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
It's true.
The problem is you know, you don't have a collective bargaining agreement, or a NFL Players Association, or what would be the acronym for .com sports writers, male, female, or whatever. There is no organization looking out for you really anymore.
Sure.
And so that's the tough part, is only, just like in the old days, only a few guys are really going to make it big.
The big bucks.
Yeah,
right.
make the big bucks.
But people want to make sure that they can have a decent living. And,
correct. And I think you deserve that, because all these guys put in a lot of time, man. And
I'll tell you, from my perspective, we have lost the plot as a society from the standpoint of, we have confused content in journalism.
Yes.
And I think there is a lot of value in journalism that people don't see, because they are obsessed with content.
Yes.
They want the editorialized opinions. They want debate. They want sensational storylines.
They want to be first, even though they're wrong sometimes.
But people don't care about in-depth, well-sourced, accurate reporting that brings facts and information. Not to go on a diatribe here. This is not just about sports. This is how it is in news, and this is how it is in politics as well. And I feel like we need to reset how we look at media, because there are a lot of people who desire to be true journalists that either have to quit or they have to become a take machine, because they don't have as much space as they used to.
Yeah, and now more than ever, the bigger the companies that own play, you become a line item veto.
Yeah,
Item. You become a line item veto item.
Right.
Just we got to get rid of this because we got to budget. We got to make more money for our stockholders, things like that. No, you're exactly right. And it's just an interesting moment we're in, because this should be the most informed civilization has ever been.
Right.
The most, and it's factional in all kinds of ways where you get from, left and right.
We are informed.
Yeah.
But not all of the information is good information.
And the problem is you can find what you want to hear.
Exactly.
If you keep looking for it instead of hearing what you should hear.
Exactly.
Or reading what you should read. And not totally across the board, because there are some still bastions out there.
Oh, for sure.
But
Plenty
the bottom,
of them,
but the bottom line is, that's the moment we're in. And just, it bothers me quite a bit, because you're not always right, sometimes. But the bottom line is seeking the truth is always what it's about. Because really, when you come right down to it, journalists are society's ombudsman.
Yes.
They hold you account.
They hold
in one form or fashion.
They're supposed to.
Yeah, supposed to.
But I'm not going to get into it.
Okay.
All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, that's okay, though. I'm glad you brought that up because, yes, we're in an interesting epoch. By the way, did you like that Ryan Day thing talking about the dinosaurs?
Thought it was interesting. I know some people had issues with it because dinosaurs died. They're extinct. But
yeah. Well, a big asteroid hitting the Earth.
Birds are descendants of dinosaurs, and so are crustaceans and whatnot. So
crocodiles are still dinosaurs.
Yeah, he was onto something.
No, he was on. His point was you do have to adapt.
Yeah.
To the Ice Age.
Or you're going to be up out of here.
Look at the Ice Age. Look at the woolly mammoths they find bones of way south. Well, woolly mammoths they were woolly for a reason.
Well,
but the point is, you do have to adapt. And in this age, this is what, real quick before you go, this is what's interesting about Ryan Day. I even asked him a question about this a couple of years ago. He should be writing or keeping notes for a book, because you can't compare what he does, except for on Saturdays, with what Woody Hayes had to do.
Oh, totally agree.
The jobs are totally different.
It is a wild. If somebody isn't keeping an account of things for him, if he's not, it feels like a crime.
Yeah.
Right. Like,
yes.
I think I love those kinds of books. Shoe Dog, great example. Story of how Nike, like I love figuring out how people got from
A to B.
Yes. And
to D.
The idea of navigating this world as a collegiate coach, if somebody doesn't have a book when they retire about all the changes they saw basically from the inception of the portal and NIL on, I'm going to be disappointed.
And the thing about it is, Nick Saban, the GOAT, wrote it for a little while.
Yeah.
But
he was like, I'm out.
Didn't want it. Miss Terry didn't want it.
Yeah.
Urban Meyer got out just before the apocalypse. So, we're in a different time. But you know what? As Pete Thamel said to me on my podcast a couple of years ago, we're in the most tumultuous times off the field, but the football might never have been better.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's great ball.
Yeah. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, that's Joshua Perry. I'm Tim May. We had great convo here. And until next time, we'll see you then.